Welcome to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack on Foxsoul. Now, many people believe cryptocurrency is the future and will eventually replace the US dollar, the euro, the peso, and et cetera, as the standard currency used throughout the world. El Salvador was the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, with their president saying that Bitcoin would help the 70% of Salvadorians who don't have access to traditional Bitcoin reached an all-time high of more than $68,000 last year. So let me clear that up so you can understand clearly what I have said, y'all. So the president saying that Bitcoin, the president of El Salvador, saying that Bitcoin would help the 70% of Salvadorans who don't have access to traditional finances. Bitcoin reached an all-time high of more than $68,000 last year. But as of now, it's at 44,000. So will cryptocurrency take over, or will the dollar retain the throne? Let's get down to business. The business of being Black today is currency in today's world. Please welcome the host of NFT 365 podcast, Brian Fanzo. Hi, Brian.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And financial advisor, Wendy Valerio. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Tammi. Thanks for having me.
This is the business of being Black. We oftentimes start the show with asking, why should Black people care? Wendy, why should Black people care about the currency in the United States, whether it changes from the dollar bill to NFTs to crypto?
I think everybody should care because we are all working for money, right? So if you don't know why you're working and what's the value of the money that you're making, there's no point of you going to work every day, right? So most people get confused. Bitcoin became something huge, like it's very hard to ignore. And we have a currency in place that we are more familiar with, that it's like real money, like hard money. But we're gonna have like two currencies in the future, I believe so. I think, and I strongly believe that crypto is going to be one of the next currencies that we're going to be using.
So you actually believe that there will be two types of currency?
I do believe that, Tammi. I think we're leading in that direction.
Brian, why should Black people care about cryptocurrency versus the dollar bill, y'all?
I think part of it comes down to the idea of how do we remove barriers to entry, but also how do we remove some of the limitations that exist on, changing currency between nations, between oftentimes even in between, different ways that we're going to, kind of transact. And I think when we think about the future, the more, we can remove some of the barriers and some of those limitations and allow us to kind of, transact without it having to be, what is the conversion of this currency, or how do we get something from the US to an international location? I think the better we all become, and kind of levels that playing field as well. And so for me, that's a big
I've never thought of that. That's
crypto.
an excellent point. You're saying that cryptocurrency is just a global piece of currency that doesn't need to be transferred from $1 to one peso, and everyone knows the value of the same amount of money.
And it's removing the middleman or the middlewoman, because we are able to now send and interact, people to people, rather than having to go to an exchange or a bank or an institution. And we've seen, they're raising money for things like Ukraine, and being able to get that currency to Ukraine the same day directly from those that are raising the money to those that need the money, without any of the financial institutions in between, which is a good thing, but also is where things can go a little bit awry as well.
That's a great point. Excellent point. When you say things could go awry, how so?
Well, the beauty of crypto and the beauty of this space is that we're moving to a decentralized arena, which means we as individuals now are in control of our data, control of our money. And so the good thing is no one else is going to be able to take it from us or be able to turn off our spigot. But if we click on the wrong thing, we send it to the wrong location. The only person to blame is ourselves.
Well, isn't that kind of like dropping your wallet down the manhole?
That's very true.
That's happened a time or two, right? You leave the bank, you put your money in the envelope, and then if something happens and the envelope's gone. So Wendy, how do you feel about that? Is cryptocurrency a viable investment?
I think so. Like it's a very valuable investment. My only concern so far is security, right? Because for Bitcoin, for you to do the trades and everything, you have the hot wallet and the cold wallet, and there's no security in case you lose your password and everything. So you lost your money forever. So one of the biggest concerns about so many people in regards to investing in cryptocurrency is the security side of things. Like when you have your money in the bank, if you lose your password, you can go to the branch and just like reset your password and then you have access to your money. And crypto works on a different way. Like if you lose your password, it's gone and it's gone forever. So when people have millions and millions of dollars stored in the wallets and everything, like it's pretty, I think the only thing that we need to organize and regulate in the industry, it's the way that people can secure their money. Because if you lose your password, imagine it's your own wealth that you accumulated over time. Like all the money that you accumulated throughout the years, it's gone from one day to the other. What would people do?
So then let's do this, Brian and Wendy. When you're talking about passwords and Bitcoin, a lot of people have no clue what any of that means. Wallets, passwords. What does it all mean, Brian? Can you give us a simple version of what a Bitcoin is and how it's obtained and how it's used?
Sure. Yeah. So we have to think of it. The blockchain is the underlying technology beneath what cryptocurrency leverages. So each type of blockchain, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum. You have lots of different types of blockchain, and Bitcoin, of course, is the kind of the pillar. It's not only was the first, but it's really what everything else been built on from there. And
so I want to take people slowly. So first, there's what you call a blockchain,
right? Which is, if you think of blockchain, it's a ledger or like a big Excel spreadsheet that once things are on that, they can't be removed or edited, and it's all transparent for everyone to see. And that's really what cryptocurrency interacts upon. And the beauty of that is, when we have transactions one-to-one, it's all logged on the blockchains. There's actually a chain of custody that anyone is able to see. If I sent you Bitcoin, you could actually look publicly and say, this wallet sent to this wallet Bitcoin. So it kind of eliminates some of the, I would say, things that are often done behind the scenes. But to get something onto the blockchain, it's now kind of one of those things where you have to get money from a bank to an exchange and exchange your currency into one of those cryptocurrencies that you're using.
So then a blockchain is that what we consider Bitcoin, or is the cryptocurrency itself the name Bitcoin?
So cryptocurrency leverages the blockchain as a whole, and Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency.
Okay. And there are other types of cryptocurrency, such as?
So there's a whole boatload of them, from Dogecoin to Polygon to Ethereum to, we have Shiba Inu, which is another one that's become very popular, and each one of them have a different kind of technology underneath them, but ultimately they're all leveraging the blockchain technology.
Okay, so those are the cryptocurrencies, and then there's the blockchain that belong to that cryptocurrency. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm following correctly.
Very good.
And then once you have the blockchain, what?
So the thing about the blockchain is 3 years from now, no one's going to mention it. It's very much like the www on a website, like the World Wide Web. Right? We don't say World Wide Web dot, our website anymore. It's kind of one of those things that right now it's the fundamental tech. But what's the most important about it is it's a shift in how our technology and how our things are interacting. And it's very much what Wendy said as far as the security side is. Before, we would log on and everything would live on a platform or on Amazon.com or on a actual server that someone else owns. In the blockchain, we actually individually own those value, and then it's logged on the blockchain for us to interact. So it's a shift of power and value, but really that's the bigger part. Blockchain itself is probably something most of us aren't going to have to spend too much time worrying about, because it's kind of like cell phone towers. We don't worry where the cell phone towers are. We just know we need cell phone service.
We just use the phone. Yes. Wendy, as a financial advisor, I come to you and I say, hey, I want to buy Bitcoin. How do you make that happen for me? And how do you know if it's good for me or not?
So it really depends. Like everybody, when they come, they want to invest their money. I always tell them and I ask, what's the purpose of the investment? Because before you choose any portfolio or do any investment, you need to have a goal in mind, right? So if you're planning for retirement, you have a long time horizon. If you're planning just for the next 2-3 years, investing in high risk, like type of asset classes can volatile your money a lot. So it's going to fluctuate a lot. So Bitcoin, for the nature of the asset class, it's very volatile. So I would never recommend someone to put 100% of their assets towards your Bitcoin, but you can diversify with mutual funds and other kinds of investments, for example, so you balance out your portfolio. Because
So could I put most of my money into Bitcoin if I'm diversifying?
If you put all your money in Bitcoin, it's pretty risky. One of my concerns as a financial advisor is that right now the government, like some countries are legalizing Bitcoin, some countries are not accepting as a currency. So what's going to happen if you have all your money in Bitcoin and tomorrow the government's going to say like they don't accept Bitcoin, that there's no value in Bitcoin, what are you going to do? So the government has a system. Sorry, Tammi. You want to
go
say?
ahead.
So they have a system where they have more control. Like the purpose of Bitcoin is taking over, like the control is going to be shifting between the government to people. Like everybody's going to control the blockchain and everything. So I don't know if the government's going to be so happy about it. They will
Well,
have.
that's one of the things that many people are concerned about, how the government is going to handle Bitcoin, and will your control be relinquished to the government? So that's something that we should talk about when we return. It's a lot of reasons why people say don't put your money there, don't invest there. So we'll talk about it when we return and have another guest join us on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on Foxsoul. Let's go. We'll be right back, y'all. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Let's get down to business. The business of being Black today is currency in today's world, specifically cryptocurrency. Please welcome back the host of NFT 365 podcast, Brian Fanzo, and financial advisor, Wendy Valerio. So, Fanzo, what does it mean for currency to be decentralized? You spoke about that earlier.
It really just means the way it's kind of stored, right? Today, when we think about most of everything we've had on in the internet lives on a server that is somewhere else. And the idea of decentralized means rather than those servers or those platforms controlling things, we as the individuals now control things. So there's no centralized location, which is great for some security things. My background's actually cybersecurity for the Department of Defense for a good while. But it's also limiting because a lot of the benefits that we're used to in customer experience and calling up and saying, hey, can you reset my password? That because our passwords are stored on our individual devices, there's no one to call to say, hey, can you reset something that we technically now own? So it's really a shift from the platforms having control to us as individuals now having control.
Isn't that what we want when we talk about our money? Don't we want control of our money here, Wendy?
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody wants to. The thing about money, though, like most people have no experience or no knowledge about money because we're never taught about money at school, at university. So the lack of financial knowledge out there is huge. So we need to educate people how to deal better with money before we change to the new system. But the old system supports everybody on a way that even if they don't know how to do something, they can go to the branch of the bank that they're banking with and get the solution for the problem that they have at the moment. With crypto, it's going to be a little different because people are going to be a little more independent, right? So they will do things by themselves.
But this is good that people don't know about money because now we don't have to worry about money. We can focus on this new form of currency and learn and all start from the beginning together. No? Is that a bad idea, Brian?
I mean, it's a great idea if we're all willing to do that, right? I think we're in this like weird in between is like we want control, but now we're not sure if we want to learn to change our buying habits and our experience habits.
Yeah, it's a totally different world. And I can't imagine if you spent majority of your life knowing about a dollar that you have to switch over. If you're 90 years old and now all of a sudden your money's not your money anymore, but your money is your money, but you don't know how to find it, where to get it, or let alone remember a password. I'm not a fan of banks, but I don't know what to do. And I think I'm like millions of Americans. You know, you have to store your money in this institution that takes your money from you just to store your money. And you can't have access. I believe it was just a couple of days ago that rapper Soulja Boy, went to get $100, $100,000 cash out of his bank, and they told him, we don't have it. We can give you 30,000 though. So how does this differ when it comes to cryptocurrency? Brian, you can take that one. And Wendy.
Yeah, I mean, so I think part of it is, there wasn't too long ago that we said exchanging money online seems ridiculous, right? Like, if I'm not physically touching the money, don't tell me you're PayPaling it, Venmoing it, Cash Apping it, transacting that way. Now we've almost kind of been like, hey, we're there, right? But there is something to be said about, we have to also recognize, like, a lot of the things that maybe we weren't taught, and I think Wendy was spot on, we weren't taught a lot of the things of, like, why does the bank not have our money? Didn't we give it to them? Like, we're not really aware that they're then giving out loans on the money that we put in there, and they're making additional money on our money without us getting anything but like an overdraft charge, right? So I think we have to like almost educate on where we were to educate kind of the value of where we are today. And it's a big lift, and I think it's scary for all of us.
Yeah, definitely scary for all of us. Wendy?
Just coming back for something that Brian just mentioned. So the money is never in the bank directly. When there is a debt created, when the bank is giving money for people through loans or mortgages or whatever, that's when money is created, right? So that's why if everybody were to go to the bank at the same day to get the money and cash it out, they didn't have the money. Because before they need to create debt first, so then money is created. So then the central bank is going to release more cash when that's created, so financial institutions can release more money and sustain the economy and the system that we have right now. So in theory, money is never there. It's just like digital.
Right. So I want to ask this question. It's not on my list today, but it's often bothered me. And I'm not sure even if Wendy or Brian, you have the answer to this question, but there's been this thing about Cash App and Black people choosing to Cash App over Venmo. Is there some type of racial difference, or I don't know what the difference in Venmo and Cash App would be, that Black people would be more eager to use Cash App, but other people use Venmo. Brian?
I think I think a lot of it has to do, and this is just a guess from my standpoint of like, the user interfaces of the two of them are different. Also the limitations of how you get money in and out of the two. Like, I prefer Cash App over Venmo because I have a Cash App like debit card. So someone can send me Cash App. I can take my debit card and go buy something at the gas station. I can't technically do that with Venmo. I don't have a Venmo card, but I think a lot of it has to do with like, how do you get it in versus how do you get it out? I believe in Venmo, there's a lot more of like direct bank transfers versus the ability to kind of move money in and out. But that's just kind of a guess from my standpoint.
Right. Wendy, is that a fair question to even ask?
I think makes sense what Brian said. Like, depends on accessibility and when you need the money, because most people will want to cash the money right away, and some people can wait a little bit. So really depends on how soon you need to spend that money that you're expecting to receive, or whatever you're gonna do with the money. That I think depends on how often and how fast do you need the money to be in your account, and how often and how fast you need this money to be available to you. So then you can pick one option or the other.
So then Brian talked about, how he prefers Cash App, and how also people don't really want to deal in cryptocurrency because it's something you can't touch. But now it seems to be easier and more convenient to not touch the money. And with the pandemic happening, do we really want to touch our money anymore? So then I want to ask, is there any way you can compare cryptocurrency to the way we utilize Cash App or Venmo or Zelle, Brian?
Yeah, I think it's probably the better connection than even traditional banks, right? I have a Coinbase card that allows me to go buy gas into my vehicle just like you would a bank card, and it's pulling it from my cryptocurrency, right? And although in that example where I'm going to pay a conversion rate, right? There's going to be a kind of a transaction fee that's going to be associated with that. But in the very near future, we're going to see more locations, more small businesses, especially being able to transact in direct cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency. And to me, that is a little bit like, Cash App, where For me, it's like, hey, give me your Cash App. I can send money back and forth. There's no interaction. I don't care what bank you use. I just need to know your Cash App. That's very much how the crypto world knows. Give me your wallet ID and I send it to you. There's no middle person that has to kind of go in between or puts a hold on something that I'm sending between, especially peer-to-peer or to, human-to-human interaction.
Is there a way you calculate it that's different from the dollar? Do you have like 100 Bitcoins or 100 Doge coins? If you're going to the gas station, how would you make that transaction? How does it work in reality?
So it is very fractionalized, right? So there, for Bitcoin, we mentioned before the show, it's in the 40,000 range is one Bitcoin today, right? So the beauty of it though, is everything is fractionalized in cryptocurrency. So for me, you're actually like when let's say I'm spending $80 or $100 of my Bitcoin, it's like 0.00001 of a Bitcoin that I'm technically spending. And all of that, like that interaction happens for you within a crypto exchange or within your wallet that you're using.
Yeah. Oh, good luck with people trying to figure that out and add that up. Like $80 is 0.00001. I don't even know how to put that into a calculator, Brian. I'm here to tell you. And I am most Americans, just point blank. I am most of America. Okay. So I just asked Brian about comparing cryptocurrency to Cash App and Venmo. But when we come back, I want to ask Wendy to compare cryptocurrency to the stock market. How does that compare? We're going to talk about it when we return on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on Foxsoul. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Don't y'all love to talk about money? Because I love to talk about money. Oh, yes. We talk about money today, y'all. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack, and the business of being Black today is cryptocurrency. Joining the conversation on cryptocurrency now is the organizer of the Our Money campaign, Dr. Delman Coates. Hi, Dr. Coates. Welcome.
How are you, Tammi? So glad to be here today.
Good. And please welcome back the host of NFT 365 podcast, Brian Fanzo, and financial advisor, Wendy Valerio. Now, when we left, I said we were going to get into comparing this cryptocurrency world to the stock market. Wendy, how does it compare?
It's completely different, right? So it's two different kinds of investments because crypto is based on demand and there's a certain amount of coins. Like when we're talking about Bitcoins, there's other cryptocurrencies. And the stock market, it's based on the market share that the company is able to dominate on the economy sector that they are actually doing business into. So it's two completely different things. So let's say in the technology sector, there's Apple and Microsoft. The value of those companies is going to be based on the amount of market share that they are able to dominate. On the other hand, crypto is a little different. So it's based at the value, it's based on demand. So as much more people get the crypto, the Bitcoin, so less coins are going to be available. So the value is going to be decreasing according to the amount of people who are holding Bitcoin.
So, Dr. Coates, when it comes to cryptocurrency and the stock market, they do have something in common. Neither of them actually exists. There's nothing tangible there. So how do they compare?
Well, it's because they compare to the extent, in my opinion, that they both are based on momentum. Our position and the position of the economists who are part of our campaign is that crypto is really a new spin on an old theme. And that theme is the private control of money creation and to profit through speculation. We believe that
that sounds like the stock market. The stock market profits through speculation.
It is. And we saw in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, the consequences of relying on a financialized economy that rests upon highly speculative financialized instruments. And my concern is that people are losing people can lose their livelihoods. People can lose their wealth. Yes, some will become wealthy in the process, but it'll be at the expense of the public. And what we believe is necessary are public digital currencies. Like the same way that banks have access to central bank money, digital money, individuals ought to have access to central bank accounts as well, in which they could benefit from receiving public digital currencies in the same way that banks do. This will ensure that the money system is truly accountable to the public. And that's what we need. We need a truly accountable monetary system, not one that's based on speculation and momentum because this is what is going to enable us to have economic stability in our society.
Brian, I know you disagree with that.
Well, I think there's some valid points there on where we're going, and kind of some of the things that we have to look at in cryptocurrency being having the speculatory aspect, but there's also an element of the technology that's powering each of the cryptocurrencies and what we're able to build on top of the cryptocurrencies, right? And that allows us to do things that we really haven't been able to do with financial institutions or even the stock market in most cases, which I think is where we're moving, where we won't think about the cryptocurrencies based as like a whole, but rather what each cryptocurrency's technology enables us to do better than, you know, a comparison one.
Tammi, if I may, I don't know if I could chime in here. I think it's important for us to have a historic perspective here. Historically, there have always been private profiteers who have used the technology of the day to profit from the momentum and speculation and money. With the advent of writing, with the advent of the telegram, with the advent of the printing press, the internet, the cell phone, and now the latest technological innovation of blockchain, it allows private individuals, private entities to profit on the speculation and the momentum and moves of money. We believe that it's preferable to have economic sustainability by relying on money created through public spending, rather than having a monetary system that relies on money created through private bank lending, or now this recent proposal to have private digital currencies to be the basis of our economic system. We are underutilizing our democratic power to rely on public money. And there's a move right now to have public digital money available to the public in the same way that commercial banks have access to central bank reserves right now. We as individuals ought to have access directly to that digital public money that is publicly accountable, democratically accountable. And I believe that's what we desperately need today if we're going to have economic justice, fairness, and economic sustainability.
Well, my off-the-cuff comment to that is that this economy has been quite speculatory when it comes to any forms of money in the past 2 years. So I don't know that we can trust any of it at this point. But Brian, I do want to ask you, doesn't cryptocurrency give the public access and personal access?
Well, so I mean, I think it is a little bit about that control, right? Like who's controlling what and where that, you know, we can talk about speculation, but we can also talk about the need for, you know, regulation and who's overlooking what and who has access, not only in transacting, but who has access into viewing what is transact. Like the beauty of the blockchain is the transparency of transactions on the back end of it, right? And I think when we start thinking about ways that we're going to, you know, either not leverage blockchain or to add kind of their own parameters, to me, the true power of crypto is the idea that it can be without borders, it can be without limitations, and we do need regulation. I'm not one that is saying that the cryptocurrency space does not need regulation. I also think we have to look at security as well as insurance in that space. But I think, you know, it's not really an either or game, I believe, when we're thinking about the future, especially in crypto, when it comes to, you know, being able to exchange currencies outside of the United States and interacting between, you know, different entities and different, you know, forms of businesses around the world.
So, Wendy, I know that you say it's just not safe right now. There's an issue with the security. So you don't necessarily advise your clients to utilize all their money into cryptocurrency for that reason. But is this a space where people should definitely get involved or not?
I strongly believe that people should get involved because it seems to be the future, right? So as we were talking at the beginning, we're going to have two different currencies out there, I'm sure. So we're going to have crypto and we're going to have like the fiat money. That's the system that we are using right now, the hard money that we use right now. The problem with crypto at the moment, it's just like security because people are not familiar with the system. If they have all their money in the wallet and then they lose the password. So this is the major concern. But I believe everybody needs to learn, right? Because it seems to be the future. It's too big to ignore and to say that crypto is not going to be the future because that's all we talk about, right? So it was a little thing and became huge. So for sure, we need to pay attention about that.
Will it replace the dollar?
I don't believe so. Like in my mind, like the government is only going to allow cryptocurrency to be a second currency if they can make money out of it, right? So if they can tax the money that people are going to make on the top of Bitcoin, for sure they're going to allow us to use a second currency. Otherwise, I don't believe so. So I think the big thing to look around on both currencies is that now on the dollars, the government has a way to tax people on the capital gains that they make out of the investments that they are doing. On crypto, there is no much regulation so far. And if the government's not making money, I don't think they're going to allow us to make money anyways.
Dr. Coates, I know how you feel about it, but will it replace the dollar?
It will not. Money is not and has never been a creature of the marketplace. It's a creature of law and a creature of government. In order for what gives money its value is its ability to settle our obligation to pay taxes. And right now you cannot pay your taxes in Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, or any other cryptocurrency that exists. We need democratic access to digital fiat money. That is the future, I believe, public digital fiat money, not cryptocurrencies.
Fanzo, is it going to replace the dollar bill?
You talked about Soldier Boy wanting to get his $100,000 out of the bank. You know, I have all of my Bitcoin stored right here in a hardware wallet that has every bit that I can get, every penny that I own is stored on a wallet that I control the seed phrase and the password with. And I think when we think about that currency, it hasn't happened yet in regulation, but yet I think is the key word.
So it hasn't happened yet, but it's about to happen. We're going to commercial break and we'll be right back on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. The business of being Black today is cryptocurrency, or I would just say currency, because we're talking about it all in today's world. And joining the conversation with us now on cryptocurrency is the organizer of the Our Money campaign, Dr. Delman Coates. And please welcome back, of course, the host of NFT 365 podcast, Brian Fanzo, and financial advisor, Wendy Valerio. So Brian, Fanzo, we are on your favorite part of the show right now, and that's the NFT part. First of all, tell us what NFT stands for.
So it's non-fungible token. And if you kind of think about it from this standpoint, it is something unique and there's not two of, right? So if I gave you $10 and told you to give me $10 back in a week, you could spend the $10, the physical $10 I gave you at a bank, and then get another $10 and send it to me. That's a fungible token. A non-fungible one is if I send you a non-fungible token, which would be a token on the blockchain, you have to give me back that exact token. And so because of that, it actually allows us to add some, exclusivity and a one-to-one exchange of value online.
Wendy, listen, I don't know if it's people's age or if it's just people's mind process, but all I ever hear when it comes to these non-fungible tokens are, why would I pay for something I can never see, have, or touch? Wendy, why? Why would anyone invest in an NFT?
That's my point. Like right now, like I think as we were discussing during this whole time, is being regulated, right? So you cannot buy anything with a Bitcoin right now. Some companies are starting to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. With $1, if I go to a store, I can buy whatever is equivalent to the dollar that I want to spend in that product or whatever. With Bitcoin, if I try to buy a car, or if I try to buy food or whatever I want to buy, it's not really possible right now. So to me, money must be something that you can purchase and stuff. It's not something you can spend. It's not a real currency. That's why Bitcoin is not, or any cryptocurrency is not considered a real currency yet, because we can't purchase things with a Bitcoin or with a cryptocurrency so far. There's a few countries who are accepting as a form of payment so far, but money is something that you can buy stuff, right? So what you can buy with crypto right now? Not much, because not many companies are accepting as a form of payment.
So, Dr. Coates, I own this Adidas shoe with Run DMC's autograph.
Right.
And I want to sell a piece of it, but not really give it to you. That's a non-fungible token, correct? That would be my NFT.
It is.
The more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, hold on, Fanzo, I might be able to get some coins now. This is not a bad coin idea here for me. Does this make any sense at all, Dr. Coates?
For me, it doesn't. And if people want to take that risk and gamble on doing that, I say go at it. I may be dating myself with this, but I remember in the 80s, people were treating Cabbage Patch dolls in the same way. You buy them at one price, the supply was kept limited. And the goal was that over time, if you bought it at $50, someone else would buy it a year or two later for $150.
But you do know, Dr. Coates, those Cabbage Patch dolls today are worth a lot of money, right?
Yes, if you manage and manipulate supply, keep supply low, this can happen. I don't want to stake my financial future. I don't want to build and base our macroeconomic system upon speculation. And while there might be individuals who will get rich, the same way that individuals got rich during the global financial crisis, the same way that individuals got rich during the dot-com bubble, the same way that individuals got rich investing in mortgage-backed securities, there will be individuals who will get rich by investing in NFTs. But what I see as a pastor is the broad cohort of individuals who purchase these speculative instruments and who are on the losing end of the bargain. I just don't believe that this is a way and the means to address the racial wealth gap, nor do I believe it's the best way to have economic sustainability. The path towards the future is public digital fiat currency by harnessing the full extent of our public spending power through deficit spending. And I encourage people to go to our money website, ourmoneyus.org.
You make a valid point when you say the dot-com era. A lot of people lost their legs in the dot-com era, but there were also tons of people who won in the dot-com era. And I also look at it in terms of the simplest example for me, whenever I start thinking about new things and how it's not going to work or how it's not going to go very far. I remember when people used to say there is no way on God's green earth that American households will have a computer inside of it. And now not only do we have one computer, we have two, we have three. And then if we count our phones, we have 4 and 5 phones that work as computers as well. There was a time that nobody believed that would ever happen, Dr. Coates. So is this another one of those times where people are not believing in crypto, people are not believing in NFTs? Could be wrong.
Here's the challenge for me. There's a difference between presenting something as an investment opportunity. Like I have some sinking sand over here, then you can buy it and perhaps you make some money on it in 10 years. There's a difference between something being an investment opportunity and something providing macroeconomic sustainability. What is at stake is and the problem with those who are pushing crypto, in my opinion, is that they blend the issue of something being an investment asset or token with the notion that this can become the base of our economic system. What is at stake is how our people are going to get quality schools, roads, healthcare, bridges, great jobs, how we're going to close the economic gaps in our society. And that can only happen by harnessing our democratic power and not giving up on our democratic process to harness the full extent of our public purse to guarantee our economic security so that no one is left out, not just so that a few might benefit in the process.
Okay, Fanzo, respond to that.
I think, I'm a sneakerhead. The sneakers are a thing that I wait in line for.
Oh, so you want my Adidas with the Run DMC?
As soon as you said that, I was like, we got to talk. We can set that up. But that's kind of like the basic use case of like the collector side, right? Like the Cabbage Patch Kids or the sneakers. But we have to think about NFTs in this idea of the transfer of ownership. Let's say your luxury handbag. If you have a luxury handbag that you're spending a couple $100 or $1,000 on, if there's an NFT component of that would actually be able to be logged on the blockchain, and now you're able to actually, when you sell that, you're actually able to provide a proof of ownership. We're now actually removing some of the secondary market, the copycat, the knockoffs, and actually putting some ownership on ourselves. Even something like our car in the future, Right now, when a dealer sells you a car, they don't really care if you have an oil change or not. That's on you and the upkeep. But in this blockchain NFT world, imagine if the dealer got a 10% in the contract, was able to get 10% every time a car was sold because the NFT was logged with the car. Well, now whenever the dealer is now going to care about your upkeep of that car, they're going to bring the oil change to your house. They're going to make sure that your upkeep of what you own. And let's face it, we've been living in a digital world, where we've been paying with our attention, our time, and our data. If you're getting something for free right now online, you're paying with your data. And it's time for us to be able to actually control that data and how we monetize that data. NFTs unlock that like nothing else.
I wish I could say I understood everything you just said, but unfortunately, I think you were speaking French to me.
Can I
Go ahead, Wendy.
Basically what he's saying is, because we are on a very technological era right now, so the younger generation, they are more familiar and more comfortable at managing their own things because they are very familiar with the internet and everything. So we are transitioning between an era where the control is on us and not on the big financial institutions. And the new generations, when I talk to them, they are crazy about crypto because they like the freedom of them, then they decide for themselves. So that's the main point about the new generation liking so much the cryptocurrency, is the lack, not right now, we have a lack of control on everything that's happening in our money. And we're switching on a way that we're going to have more control about what we do with our money, fees, and everything.
I don't have any control right now. Got to go to commercial break. We'll be back.
Okay.
Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Listen, I don't know how many of you are like me when it comes to learning about all of this new financial technology. So Brian, I want you to break it down to me like I'm a 3-year-old here. I give you my Adidas shoe with the Run DMC, everybody's, even Jam Master Jay's autograph. I want to sell you some of it as an NFT. How does that work? Walk me through that.
So if you think about it from a standpoint of, we have a token that has a certain amount that is divided up. So let's say we're going to fractionalize that into 8 pieces.
So are you fractionalizing my shoe into 8 pieces?
Correct. And we're going to,
my shoe is the token.
And the token is with a contract, which is called a smart contract, that'll be logged onto the blockchain. And so once it's there, think of it as computer code. And what you're going to say is, at this time, these individual people, which is logged on the blockchain, that own 1/8 of my shoe that we have, right? And so when that shoe is then sold, that money is then transacted based on those people that own that part of the ledger. So it could be 1/8, it could be 10,000 of them, whatever that non-fungible token is. So that's a fractionalized version of it. And when we think about it, it might sound like funny money or imaginary, but it's no different than, there's no gold directly backing gold to dollar in our dollar bills. I mean, we go to the bank, we can't even all take out.
So it's a lot like the stock market, in that you're buying a share of my shoe.
Yes, correct. And the beauty of it is, it's transparently logged into the internet, to where it actually has a contract written. So you can't edit it, you can't adjust it. And let's say you sell the shoe to someone, and every time that shoe is sold, you could write in the contract that you, as the original owner, gets 10% every time there's a sale. Imagine that for artists. Today, an artist sells a painting, they have no idea what happens with that afterwards. If you put that painting into an NFT, every time that is sold, that artist could get a 10% cut automatically.
But Dr. Coates would say there's no actual painting, there's no actual shoe, right, Dr. Coates?
Well, Tammi, one expert on these digital assets referred to NFTs and crypto as money branded digital assets. I think it's important for people to understand that money branded digital assets, because people call it money, doesn't make it money. Because people name it money like, doesn't make it money.
And that's
in
what
order
Wendy
for us
was
to have a stable economy that delivers security and stability, we need to have real money. And the only way that can happen is by harnessing the public power of the public purse, which we have not been harnessing effectively, in which our current economy, most of the medium of exchange is created by private banks when they create loans. We need to shift from relying on an economy where money is created through bank lending to money created through public spending. That is how we're going to deliver economic securities to our cities and states, to our families, to provide health care. If individuals want to gamble and take a risk on an NFT or at the casino, go for it. But if we're going to have economic sustainability for our society, where no one is left behind, we're going to have to harness the power of the public purse to do that. I encourage people to read the book, The Deficit Myth by economist Stephanie Kelton, to help us build a movement of Americans who are seeking more public accountability for a public money system.
So Fanzo, I would sell the shoe to you for what, $1,000 or a token? How does that transaction happen?
Well, for the most part, NFTs are actually transacted on the Ethereum blockchain. So you would send me ETH. So you would say, ETH right now is around $3,000. So if you sold it to me for $3,000 US, you would sell me one ETH. But I think
but you would give me that ETH though, right?
Right. I would send you one ETH, and you would send me the digital asset of that shoe, right? And they're physical and digital.
And the digital asset of that shoe is what? A photograph of the shoe?
Well, it would depend on what the smart contract was written. Either the actual shoe itself would actually be part of that, right? The physical goods can be connected to an NFT, and that isn't a gamble. That's actually a one-to-one relationship, much like real estate. What's it's supply and demand. Why is our house worth a certain amount of money? It's because the demand of people wanting to pay that amount are willing to pay that. That is no different than an NFT where I have something and the supply is limited. There's a finite amount of it. And the demand is actually determining what that value is.
An NFT sounds like an IPO to me.
I would say NFT projects are operating much like a startup or a small business, where those that own the NFTs are technically, they're buying shares of that company.
They sound more like derivatives. We all remember in 2005, 6, and 7, collateralized debt obligations, credit default swaps, things that none of us could understand. Our entire global economy were built upon these speculative instruments. And I want to go back to the notion that there might be individuals who will profit in the process, but it comes at the expense of a whole host of other people who will lose. I don't think that is a prescription for wealth development for the community or for the American people.
Wendy, tell us about your financial services.
Can I add something for what the Dr. Coach said? So right now, the actual bank system that we are dealing with, it's basically the same thing. So the bank is releasing money for people and the demand is out there based on the central bank, right? So then they release more money. It's actually almost the same thing. And people are creating money and demand based on that. So this is an issue because people are leaving based on a lifestyle that they cannot afford it because they're getting loans with the bank. And this is creating a higher inflation environment for us. So the system, it's actually not working. Just to add in, because you both were talking about Bitcoin and fiat money. So Bitcoin has a limited amount of coins. So that would solve that issue that we're facing with inflation right now. So that's why most people are crazy about Bitcoin.
And your financial services?
My financial services. So I help people to do financial retirement planning. I help them to do budget planning. So most people, as we were talking at the beginning, they don't know how to deal with money. Most people don't know how to budget the money that they are earning right now. And the way to secure your future is saving right now. So I help people to create the habit of saving their money a little bit and understanding where their money is going, because most people don't know. They have a salary, they spend everything, they go into debt because that's what the system is offering for them. And believe me or not, most people believe it's okay to be on that. Because they're like,
that's because that's how America lives. So we live in how America lives. Fanzo, please tell us about your podcast, NFT 365.
Yeah, so it's a daily podcast, and I wanted to eliminate the need to gamble or to commit your financial resources. So I'm actually buying an NFT every single day for a year. You can come on the journey and learn with me every single day as I buy a new NFT every day. No financial obligation. Tune into the podcast. It's available in every podcasting app. NFT 365.
Dr. Coates says sign him up.
Sounds good.
Tell us about the work you're doing with Our Money campaign, Dr.
Well,
Coates.
the Our Money campaign is a collection of citizens, faith leaders, activists, and organizers who are seeking to build a sustainable economy by shifting from relying on money created through bank lending to money created through public spending. That money comes into existence without having to be repaid at perpetual interest. And in order to do that, we need to do the very operation that we're encouraged not to do, and that is to do more deficit spending for more public priorities. And so I encourage people to go to our website, ourmoneyus.org, follow us on social media to stay informed about our campaign and our effort.
Well, Fanzo, I'd like to thank you for being on the show today. And Dr. Coates, thank you for joining us. Wendy, you know, everybody needs some help with their money. So thank you so much for telling us what we should and could do with it. Hollywood Unlocked is next. Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored. So this is like doubling down on Hollywood Unlocked. It's uncensored, y'all. So Jason's on the way. That's The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on Foxsoul. Until next time, everybody, it is such a blessing to be in your box on Foxsoul. Business of Being Black, y'all. That's right. Thank you, Fanzo, Dr. Coates, and Wendy. Thank you so much. Get ready for Jason Lee, Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored.